silicon wafer preparation. So in the previous videos, we have discussed about how silicon ingot is being prepared. So this is your silicon ingot. It is being prepared, and after that, it is being cut into wafers like this. So you are already aware of this, and they are of different sizes. The most common commercial wafer that is being used is 300 millimeter wafer. And now we will be discussing about the journey beyond this ingot, how we can go for actual wafer preparation and what are the steps involved. So when you talk about silicon wafer manufacturing, then your single crystal is actually being obtained. The next step that is important is further, this needs to be further processed to produce the wafers. And for these wafers need to be shaped and cut. We cannot do with the normal cutting materials, especially industrial grade diamond tipped saws are used for this process. Then the shaping operation consists of two steps. The seed and the tang, and at the end of the ingots are removed. So seed is the one which we use dipped in the molten silicon and being pulled off, and last one is the tip is there. When you are actually pulling the ingot, you will find out a tip is there. So you can see here, here something is there, tang, beak is there. So that need to be removed. And third thing is the surface of the ingot is ground to get a uniform diameter across the length of the ingot. So you can see while we are pulling, the surface is not smooth and there might be some diametric variations. So it need to be grinded so that you get a smooth surface. So before further processing, the ingots are checked for resistivity and orientation. So resistivity means what is the actual conductivity and all, and orientation means the crystal geometry. The resistivity is checked by 4-point probe technique, and it can be used to confirm the dopant concentration. That means how much dopant is there in silicon. So it is P type or N type, or what is its doping concentration. It's 10⁻18, 10⁻20, or 10⁻16, whatever it may be. So this process is actually being done along the length to ensure uniformity. That it's not like that at one end you are having a different concentration, on the other end you are having different concentration. So uniformity is being expected. The orientation is being measured by X-ray diffraction method after grinding. Orientation means 100 or 101 or 110, whatever it may be. So once orientation and resistivity checks are there, one or more flats are ground along the length of the ingot. So when you have done this orientation and resistivity check, then you will have flats being developed on the ingot. And what is the advantage of these flats? So that we will be discussing in the coming slides. So here you can see your wafer is having cut like this. Your wafer are having two cuts. Your wafer is having single cut, and your wafer is having single cut. On the basis of that, you can easily tell what kind of orientation it is having. So here I will be using different pen. Now you can see that it is not arc, it is having a cut here. Here two cuts are there, and here also you will have one cut here, one cut here, then one cut here. This is primary cut, this is secondary cut. So when ingot is there, then you actually do this or this kind of operation, that a cut is being made on the ingot, and just by visual inspection you can tell that this is p-type semiconductor wafer and its crystal geometry is 111. Just by looking at this particular orientation you can tell that this is n-type wafer and its orientation is 111. Looking at this, you can tell this is p-type with orientation 100 and this is n-type with orientation 100. Now the question arises why these two are being preferred. The reason for their preference is when you have observed that there are several processes that are being employed for the production of your ICs. So when you actually looking forward for these processes, so your P type and N type, sorry, not P type or N type, 111 and 100 favors most the processes. Suppose you want to do the etching process, then these two will prefer etching more as compared to the other. So that's why they are being utilized. So these are two types of flats. So one is called primary flat. This is primary flat. So this is ground relative to the specific crystal orientation. So this acts as a visual reference to the orientation of the wafer. So just by looking at the wafer and the cut, you can tell that what kind of orientation it is having and what is its type. Secondary flat. So this is being used for identification of the wafer dopant and type of orientation. So primary flat is there. So when you actually go for this cut being there, then you can say that this is N type, this is P type, and this is N type, and in N type also which orientation it is having, 111 or 100. So that's quite utility when we actually employ them in the manufacturing process. So the different flat locations are P type. Silicon has only one flat, while all the wafer types have two flats with different orientation of the secondary flats. The primary flat is typically longer than the secondary flat. So that's for your visual inspection. So once your flats are being made, then what is the process? The individual wafers are sliced as per the required thickness. Then inner diameter slicing is the most commonly used technique. The cutting edge is located on the inside of the blade. So it is being cut on the inner side, not the outer side, to get into the specifications as required by the fabrication lab. So larger wafers are usually thicker. The reason for that is mechanical strength need to be there. So if they are thinner, they might break down. So after cutting, what happens? Lot of powder material is there. So the wafers are chemically etched to remove any damaged and contaminated region. So they are being chemically washed and etched so that if there is any damage or contamination, it can be eliminated. So this is not done with the normal chemical. It is being done with acid bath and a mixture of hydrofluoric acid, nitric acid and acetic acid is being used to get this chemical cleaning being done. So after the etching, the surface are polished because surface is rough. So a rough abrasive polish followed by chemical mechanical polishing is being done. So this is quite similar to you have seen your marbles being grinded in your homes and after that polishing is being done. But that is for marble. Lot of dust is being involved. So here we have different abrasives, but procedure remains same that they are being polished to get the smoothness of that particular being restored. So when you call a chemical mechanical polishing, then it's slurry of silicon oxide particles, silicon oxide SiO2 particles, and it is being used with sodium hydroxide solution. So this is being used to get chemical mechanical polishing. The pad which is being used for polishing is your polyester material. Then polishing happens both due to mechanical abrasion and also reaction of the silicon with the NaOH solution. So mechanically they are being rotated on the wafers. So that is the one action. Other action is your reaction of silicon with sodium hydroxide solution. So whatever loose powder like material or something like that is there, that is being removed. So roughness is being removed by mechanical abrasion, and if something is there that lying on the surface, that is being washed away with the sodium hydroxide solution. Sometimes it is being required that double-sided wafers are being required. So in that specific conditions are being required so that opposite side wafers does not have many problems. So 300 millimeter wafers are being used, and as you have seen in the video, robots are being used, and they are made of ceramics to minimize scratches. Smaller wafers are used in labs, and they are being polished with the single die, single side polished. So after polishing, the wafers are subjected to final inspection before they are packed and shipped to the fab. So this is the process that is being involved from your ingot, and it is being cut into the slices, and then your wafer is being prepared. The wafer is actually then being used for other processes that is we will start discussing in the coming classes. So the next process that we will be discussing is oxidation. You have already listened to about this in the video, and now this is all about this particular class. So thank you very much.